Hi, it's Danielle. This is my perfume journal where I document my love of perfume. So this video is going to be a little mini study on perfumes with a squeaky clean vibe. Now, I don't have a huge selection of soapy clean perfumes in my own collection. My absolute favorite soapy perfume in my collection is Melograno from Santa Maria Novella, followed closely behind by Chanel No. 5 Eau Premiere. So what better way to explore new scents in this category than at a sniff along with a bunch of other perfume enthusiasts, which is exactly what I did. So I have 5 perfumes in the squeaky clean category to tell you about today. I will share my thoughts, some thoughts from the group of perfume enthusiasts who smelled these two, and then I will rank them in order of soapiest and then in order of my least to most favorite at the end. I will also tell you why I chose each of these perfumes for this category for the sniff along. Okay, so first up we have Paper Soap from Scent. I first discovered this perfume years and years ago when I dipped my toe into one of Lucky Scent's pre-made sample packs. And I chose this perfume for the sniff along because it has the word soap in the name, so that seemed like a good indicator. So Paper Soap smells to me like a very strong bar of white Castile soap. No moisturizers, no emollient ingredients like in a bar of Dove soap. This perfume is so soapy, it goes scratchy for me. Like I want to clear my throat or something after I inhale it. So if you have ever smelled Suavissima from Perfume Roma or Tente de Neige from Lorenzo Villoresi or My Pearls from The Merchant of Venice, this perfume is in that kind of neighborhood. Now, thanks to Mo's knowledge and research, we learned that Japanese paper soap is a convenient on-the-go product for hand washing in that country. So that is the namesake of this perfume. This perfume is very scratchy. It is very sharp, but it does soften up a bit and it doesn't last very long. I would also say that this perfume is pretty linear. It starts out as soap and it ends as soap. And since I already have travel sizes of Suavissima and Tente de Neige, I think I'm good with my soapies right now. But if you are looking for a very, very soapy scent, Scent is not one of the more expensive niche houses, and you can easily find samples of this to try. Okay, shifting gears, we have South from Mendittorosa. Now, I chose this sample to try because the copy described linen sheets drying in the sun and soaps from the south of France. But this perfume is way more than just soap. We were definitely greeted by the soapiness. There is no mistaking that fresh laundry on the line in this perfume, but we were equally and immediately surprised by a bread note. We all thought that this perfume had a kind of yeasty quality to it, and it was also encompassed by something very nutty and very rooty. Well, that turns out it was green hazelnut and carrot seed. So that gives this perfume a very surprising earthiness. Nicole pointed out that this perfume actually smelled like Tang to her. If you are not familiar with Tang, Tang is an orangeade powder that you stir into water, and there is a tanginess in this. I sort of interpret that tanginess in the bread note as if the bread note is specifically a sourdough bread note. So this was a really interesting perfume, very unique, like nothing I have ever smelled before. Not something I feel like I need a bottle or a decant of, but one that I would like to spritz on the back of my hand from time to time to see what else I get out of it. So a very interesting, soapy, yeasty, earthy, woody kind of a perfume. Fascinating stuff. Okay, going back to Soapville, we have Bambini soap from Villa Erbatium. So this is a really soft and somewhat sweet kind of soapiness. It smells like the top of a baby's head after you've just washed the baby with Johnson's baby shampoo. So this perfume would be really hard not to like. Where paper soap felt very detergenty, this perfume feels more gentle, it's sweeter, it's easier to wear. So along with orange blossom, the notes included mimosa and freesia, and I think the mimosa is what is giving this perfume its sweetness and a bit of fluffiness. like you've gotten out of the bath and you've wrapped yourself in the fluffiest, biggest white towel. Now, is this perfume worth 145 smackaroos for just 50 ml? I would say no to that. However, I think I would be quite okay with forking over 20 bucks for a 5 ml decant of this, because this is lovely enough to enjoy for a little while before moving on. Like I could get a good 20 wears out of a 5 ml decant of this. So for like $1 a wear and not a lot of shelf space taken, I think a small decant of Bambini soap would be a real winner. So the next perfume garnered the biggest and the most mixed reactions of all, and it is number 2, Seve Nouvelle from Kosmala. So I chose this one for the sniff along because it was a bit of a red herring. Nothing about the notes suggested it would smell soapy or clean, but the copy of the perfume said that in the opening you would get a surge of creamy white soap bubbles. Okay, listen to these notes and you can decide if you think anything says creamy white soap bubbles here. Grapefruit, pink pepper, saffron, champaca, tonka, water pepper, patchouli, raspberry, cashmere, and amberwood labdanum. Oddly, this was soapy, but in a very non-conventional way. Sarah nailed it when she said that this perfume reminded her of like this bar of green old-fashioned soap that her grandfather used to use. And there is something in this that harkens back to bars of soap from yesteryear, those soap bars that felt more spicy than detergent-y. So my grandmother had this bar of red soap. It was called lava soap, perched on the utility sink in our basement, that had this same kind of quality that Sarah remembers. It doesn't smell clean in a good way, but it does smell clean in almost like an industrial way. Like back then, soaps didn't always smell soapy. My grandfather actually had a soap that smelled like metal and rotten eggs. I wish I could remember what it was. So in this perfume, along with that old-fashioned non-soapy bar soap quality, add to this composition some leather, some raspberry, some pepper, and some herbal aromatics. The name translates to new sap. It definitely conjures up that idea of a snapped twig, not a stem, but a twig, like that woodiness with green sap oozing from the inside out. So of all the perfumes that we tried, this was the most different on blotter versus skin, and the one that changed and morphed the most. And although it was the least traditionally soapy perfume, it did have an interesting soapy quality among the leathery woodiness. A fun perfume to sample for sure. And finally, we have Evolution from Gravel. So this one came off very sharp, almost offensive at first. The aldehydes are aldehyding big time in this. Like a deep first sniff of this perfume could produce an immediate sneeze or an immediate headache, or maybe even both. The orange was pretty easy to pick out, and the ginger definitely made itself known to many noses in the group. There is a little bit of saltiness in this one from some ambergris, but you do not get that right away. You have to really let this one settle down before the salty, like muskiness comes through. And even with a little bit of lovely fruitiness in here, this perfume is like eye-splittingly sharp. This, to me, was like the olfactory version of an ice cream brain freeze, and it did not receive top marks from the group overall. But I will say that it is fascinating to pick out the small nuances in a series of perfumes on a theme. It is such a good way to train your nose, smelling perfumes that are very similar, but they each have their own like small differences. So even though this one was not a winner, it was still a lot of fun to sniff. Okay, so before I subjectively rank order the perfumes in terms of my own personal taste, I think I can more objectively give you an idea of these 5 perfumes on the Soapy Clean scale in case you are looking to sample perfumes in the Soapy Clean category. So least soapy to me, that was South. The nuttiness and the earthy, yeasty qualities were much more pronounced than the clean laundry note, so this one comes in 5th for soapiness. In 4th soapy place, Thomas Kosmala's number 2, Seve Nouvelle. I would classify this primarily as a woody, spicy leather, but there is that unusual old-fashioned bar soap quality that puts it just a step above South, but a very small step. In third place for soapiness, Bambini soap. This was the friendliness of all of the soapy perfumes. Gentle, fluffy, sweet cleanliness. In second place, it's going to be Evolution because of the fruitiness. In terms of soapy strength and the detergent-like quality, it is neck and neck with first place, but the fruitiness and the spiciness of the ginger move it into a very close second. And the soapiest of them all for me was Paper Soap from J Scent. Dryer sheet and a bar of white Castile soap had a baby, and this is it. On the likability scale, my least favorite, I would have to say, after smelling these all over again the next day, turned out to be number 2, Seve Nouvelle. I just don't prefer leather as a note on me, and for that reason alone, this one comes in last place. Next, I would choose Evolution. I actually love the idea of a fruity soapy scent, but that eye-stabbing sharpness in this one just made it way too headachy for my liking. In third place, Paper Soap. I like this, but this one just stands squarely in the middle. I already have decants and travels of perfumes that are very, very similar to this, but if I did not, I would do with a 5 or 10 ml decant of this one. In second place, I will put South. That was so interesting, so unique, like nothing I'd ever tried before. Soapy, earthy, bready, woody, a little bit spicy. A conceptual perfume done very well. And my favorite of all the squeaky clean perfumes was Bambini soap. It's just so soft and slightly sweet and gentle. That sweet, cozy smell of a clean baby's head and a fluffy towel. Very pretty, very nicely done. Just a lovely scent, worthy of a 5 ml decant in my books. So thanks to everybody who came to the June sniff along. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the mostly squeaky clean perfumes we tried together. I would love to hear about your favorite soapy clean perfumes if you have any. I'd be really interested to try more soapy clean perfumes in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for spending your time here with me. And thanks for chatting perfumes with me in the comments. I hope you have a really great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.